He smiled understandingly, much more than understandingly. It was one of those rare smiles with a quality of eternal reassurance in it.
London, March 2026. The flashbulbs are aggressive, slicing through the damp Notting Hill air. Princess Beatrice leans in, a calculated smile playing on her lips, while Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi adjusts his blazer, a shield against the whispered crisis headlines. For months, the tabloids have predicted a royal collapse, a house of cards ready to fold under the weight of family scandal. But look closer at Edo. He isn't flinching. He's playing a much longer game than the press realizes. The PR firestorm, united front against the tabloid storm. If you've been scrolling through your feed lately, you've probably seen the headlines. It's March of this year, and the British tabloids are currently obsessed with one thing: the supposed crumbling of Princess Beatrice and Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi's marriage. The narrative is almost too perfect for a Sunday morning scandal sheet. On one side, you have a princess in the eye of a hurricane, navigating the brutal fallout of her father's legal troubles and recent arrest. On the other, you have her dashing, self-made husband, suddenly spending a lot of time 4,000 miles away in Florida. The rumor mill went into overdrive when the Mail on Sunday dropped a bombshell claiming that things haven't been great for a while. The evidence? Edo's Instagram. While Beatrice has stayed largely out of the spotlight to handle family matters, Edo has been posting sun-drenched shots of turquoise waters, palm trees, and luxury developments in Palm Beach and Miami. To the cynical eye, it looked like he was pulling away, just when his wife needed him most. Some sources even whispered that Edo's family, Italian aristocrats who take their reputation very seriously, were furious that their son was getting dragged into the York wreckage. But here's the thing about the House of Windsor. They don't do drama the way celebrities do. They don't post crying selfies or cryptic song lyrics. They do silent PR. Just days ago, when the divorce rumors hit a fever pitch, Bea and Edo were spotted at Il Sushi Bar in Notting Hill. They weren't hiding. They spent 2 hours inside, reportedly celebrating a friend's birthday, before hopping into an electric Porsche and driving off. No press release, no "we ask for privacy" statement. Just a high-definition image of a couple looking perfectly fine, effectively killing the crisis narrative in a single afternoon. Friends of the couple have been quick to point out the boring reality behind the distance. It's not emotional, it's logistical. Edoardo is the CEO of Banda Property, and 2026 has been a massive year for his firm's expansion into the US market. The only thing Bea and Edo are navigating are their busy jobs and looking after their children, one close friend told Hello. In their world, a solo business trip to a private island isn't an escape, it's a Tuesday. However, the truth likely lies somewhere in the messy middle. It's no secret that Beatrice is under immense pressure. She's a mother to 2 young daughters, Sienna, 4, and baby Athena, 1, and is famously loyal to her parents. She was recently seen riding through Windsor with her father. A move that signals her personal support remains unshaken, even as his public standing vanishes. Meanwhile, Edo is protective of his brand. He's built an empire on an image of impeccable taste and exclusivity. He doesn't want his investors in the Cotswolds or Florida to see him as the guy married into the scandal. This is the tightrope they are walking. Beatrice is soldiering on, determined to keep her family together, while Edo is working overtime to ensure the Mapelli Mozzi name remains synonymous with luxury, not litigation. Some critics argue that his sudden social media activity, showing off a lifestyle of private yachts and sun-kissed boardwalks, contrasts sharply with Beatrice's quiet retreat into family life. Is it a strategy to shield his business from the fallout? Or is it a sign of a husband finding his own path? The tabloids want a divorce. The couple wants a quiet life. For now, the united front is holding. They are the masters of the keep calm and carry on mantra, using those sushi dates and school runs as a shield against the noise. But as the legal drama surrounding the Yorks continues to intensify, the question remains, can any marriage truly stay insulated when the foundation of the family is shaking? But to understand why the press is so hungry for a crack in the foundation, you have to look at the man holding the bricks and the multi-million-dollar empire he's built on them. The property tycoon, Banda Property, and the $100 million hustle. If you think Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi is just another royal husband waiting for his next ribbon-cutting ceremony, you haven't been paying attention to the London or global real estate market. While the headlines focus on the York family drama, Edo is busy playing a high-stakes game of Monopoly with actual skyscrapers. Long before he was Edo, husband to Princess Beatrice, he was the 23-year-old founder of Banda Property.
Edoardo is the son of Count Alessandro Mapelli Mozzi. Edoardo followed in his father and mother's footsteps and became head of his own real estate company, Banda, in 2007.
A firm that has evolved from a small boutique shop into a multidisciplinary powerhouse straddling real estate, interior architecture, and project management. To put his success into perspective, Banda isn't just flipping houses in the suburbs. We are talking about a portfolio that has developed over 400,000 square feet of London real estate, with a gross development value nearing 700 million euros. In the world of super prime property, Edo is a legitimate titan. His aesthetic, a blend of traditional elegance and modern tactile materials, has become the calling card for the world's wealthiest 1%. Whether it's a 42 million euros turnkey townhouse in Chelsea Barracks, or a revolutionary duplex at 111 West 57th Street in New York, his fingerprints are on some of the most expensive dirt on the planet. But here's where the riveting part comes in. Being a self-made multimillionaire in 2026 is complicated when your in-laws are currently the most scrutinized people in the UK. Sources suggest that Edo is hyper-aware of his professional optics. Just this month, while the British press was dissecting every detail of the Epstein-related fallout surrounding Beatrice's father, Edo was 4,500 miles away in Palm Beach, Florida. On paper, he was there to speak at a conference and expand Banda's footprint into the booming Miami and Palm Beach luxury markets, a move necessitated by a massive shift in global wealth. But the optics? They were divisive. To some, it looked like a husband abandoning his wife during a family crisis. To those in the business world, it was a CEO protecting his empire. There are whispers that Edo is worried his in-laws will affect his business. Wealthy investors in the Cotswolds and international hedge fund managers don't usually like their developers associated with front-page scandals. There was even a report in late 2025 that he lost a significant financial opportunity to modernize a 30-room estate in Windsor after the king shifted the internal royal dynamics. In this world, proximity to the crown is a double-edged sword. It opens doors, but if the crown gets tarnished, the door can hit you on the way out. Edo's hustle is real, though. He doesn't just put his name on things, he lives the brand. His social media has shifted recently, becoming much more focused on his professional travels and design philosophy. He's showcasing a lifestyle of collectible art and noble stones, positioning himself as a global arbiter of taste rather than just a royal relative. This Banda brand is his safety net. By making himself indispensable to the global elite, the kind of people who buy $50 million penthouses, he ensures that no matter what happens to the York reputation, the Mapelli Mozzi name remains a gold standard. Managing this balance is a 24/7 job. He's navigating the logistical nightmare of running a firm with upward velocity in Miami and New York while maintaining his base in London. He deals with clients who have 8 million euros to play with and expect perfection. It's a high-pressure environment that requires a level of grit most people don't associate with royalty. While Beatrice soldiers on with her family obligations, Edo is the one keeping the lights on in their multi-million-dollar life. Is he all about himself and his career, as one anonymous source claimed? Or is he simply a man who realizes that in the year now, a royal title isn't a retirement plan, it's a platform that requires a very real, very profitable business to sustain it? The truth is, Edoardo has built a world where he doesn't need a palace to be powerful. He builds the palaces himself. He isn't just building mansions for the 1%. He was born into the kind of history money can't actually buy, and his bloodline is just as blue as any Windsor. The Italian Count, Bloodlines, and Villa Mapelli Mozzi. If you think Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi's life started the moment he walked down the aisle with Princess Beatrice, you're missing the most cinematic part of the story. While he is often framed as the commoner who married a princess, the reality is far more Game of Thrones than The Crown. Edoardo doesn't just have royal connections, he has a bloodline that stretches back to the 1100s, long before the House of Windsor even existed in its current form. He is, in every sense, an aristocrat by birth, not just by marriage. The centerpiece of this legacy is his father, Count Alessandro Alex Mapelli Mozzi, a dual British and Italian citizen who is a story unto himself. A former Olympic alpine skier who competed for Great Britain in the 1972 Winter Olympics, Alessandro eventually transitioned into the high-stakes world of international art dealing and curation. He is the man who holds the keys to the family's ancestral titles and their staggering real estate portfolio in Italy. It was through Alessandro that the world first learned a surprising secret about Beatrice's marriage. She didn't just become a Mrs., she technically became an Italian Contessa, Countess. How does that work? In 1913, King Victor Emmanuel III of Italy granted the Mapelli Mozzi family a hereditary title of Count in the Kingdom of Italy. While Italy became a republic in 1946 and no longer officially recognizes noble titles, they remain valid out of courtesy in social and aristocratic circles. Because Edoardo is the only male descendant taking the family into the next generation, he is a count by right, and his wife automatically inherits the title of Countess. Even their daughters, Sienna and Athena, hold the title of Nobile Donna, noble woman. But a title is just a word on a piece of parchment. The real flex is the family seat, Villa Mapelli Mozzi. Located in Ponte San Pietro, near the province of Bergamo, this 18th-century neoclassical palace is widely considered one of the finest residences in all of Italy. We're talking about an 18,000-square-foot masterpiece with 13 bedrooms, 2 libraries, and frescoed ceilings that would make a museum jealous. The estate has been in the family since the 13th century, evolving from a medieval monastery into a sprawling rural palace. When you see photos of Edo and Bay looking at home in high society settings, it's because they are. They aren't guests in the world of old money. They are the landlords. Interestingly, Edoardo's relationship with this grand Italian history is a bit of a paradox. While he is the heir to the palace and the title, he has famously stated that his late stepfather, Christopher Shale, was the only father I have ever known. His biological father, Count Alessandro, reportedly hasn't even met Princess Beatrice, as of some recent reports. This creates a fascinating internal dynamic. Edo is a man who carries the weight of a 900-year-old Italian legacy on his shoulders. Yet his heart and his values were largely shaped by the British political elite in Oxfordshire. This dual identity is his greatest asset. He can pivot from the rugged, competitive energy of a property developer in London to the refined, count-of-the-realm persona required for a royal gala in a heartbeat. He represents a bridge between two worlds, the dusty, frescoed halls of Italian nobility and the fast-paced, digital-first landscape of modern Britain. Some royal watchers argue that this count status is exactly why he fits so perfectly into the royal fold. He doesn't look at the king or the Prince of Wales with wide-eyed awe. He looks at them as peers whose families just happen to stay in the ruling business a little longer than his did. For Beatrice, marrying Edoardo was a move that effectively elevated her status within the European aristocracy, independent of her father's titles.
Now, in the last half hour, it's been announced that the Queen's granddaughter, Princess Beatrice, has married her fiancé, Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi. The couple wed at a private ceremony in Windsor.
She isn't just a British princess anymore. She is a member of an ancient Lombardian dynasty. It's a quiet power move that gives her a secondary identity and a secondary home far away from the prying eyes of the London tabloids. When things get too hot in the UK, there is always a 13-bedroom palace in Bergamo waiting for them. Titles are great for stationery, but as any parent knows, they don't help you raise a blended family in the digital age, especially when your bonus son is already a mini-celebrity. The modern tribe, Wolfie, Sienna, and Athena. If you want to see the future of the British monarchy, don't look at the gold carriages or the ancient rituals. Look at Princess Beatrice's Sunday lunch table. In an institution historically defined by rigid heirs and spares logic, Beatrice and Edoardo have quietly pioneered a revolutionary model, the successful, no-drama royal blended family. It is a setup that feels more like a modern London socialite's life than a 19th century court, and at the heart of this modern tribe is a 9-year-old boy named Christopher Wolfe, affectionately known to the world and his royal step-grandmother as Wolfie. Wolfie is the son of Edoardo and his former fiancée, the American architect and Ladies of London star Dara Huang. In any other royal era, his presence might have been a source of hushed whispers or awkward exclusion. Instead, Beatrice has leaned into her role as bonus mother with a sincerity that has genuinely disarmed the critics. She doesn't just tolerate the arrangement, she champions it, famously calling the role a great honor. We've seen this play out in high definition. Wolfie holding hands with Beatrice at Princess Kate's Christmas Carol concerts, or standing alongside the Windsors at the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee. He isn't a guest in the royal circle, he is a cherished part of it. But the real riveting element isn't just that Beatrice is a good stepmom, it's the unprecedented alliance between her and Dara Huang. Just weeks ago, while the tabloids were desperately hunting for signs of a York family collapse following Prince Andrew's legal escalations, Dara did something remarkable. She posted a photo of Wolfie on a train, surrounded by colored pencils, meticulously crafting a handmade Mother's Day card for his stepmom bee. Dara even added a sweet caption, noting she had taught him how to draw a little bee emoji for her. It was a public digital olive branch that signaled total solidarity. This more the merrier philosophy, as Dara calls it, has created a safety net for the couple's 2 biological daughters, 4-year-old Sienna Elizabeth and 1-year-old Athena Elizabeth Rose. Athena's arrival in January 2025 was a moment of high tension. She was born prematurely, an ordeal Beatrice later described in a brave essay for British Vogue as a time of tears of relief and loneliness. During that crisis, the tribe didn't fracture. Instead, it tightened. Edoardo's Instagram tributes now frequently end with the sign-off E-W-S-A, Edo, Wolfie, Sienna, and Athena, a literal alphabetical branding of their unified front. The couple's parenting style is decidedly unroyal in its focus on freedom and privacy. Unlike the high-pressure environment of the Wales household, Beatrice and Edoardo are raising their kids their way. They've consciously avoided giving their daughters royal or aristocratic titles in the UK, opting for Miss Sienna and Miss Athena to shield them from the burden of public duty. They want their children to have proper jobs and normal lives, much like Beatrice's own career at the tech firm Affinity. They are the hands-on royals, seen doing the school run in Notting Hill or taking the kids to the BBC Earth experience, rather than delegating everything to a fleet of Norland nannies. However, maintaining this no-drama bubble in 2026 is an Olympic-level feat. As Wolfie grows older, he's already showing off incredible new abilities like learning Chinese on Duolingo. He is becoming more aware of his unique position. He splits his time between Dara's London home and the couple's Cotswolds estate, navigating 2 very different worlds, one of high-end architecture and reality TV, and one of palaces and global scrutiny. The success of this modern tribe is perhaps the greatest testament to Edoardo's influence. He didn't just bring his business acumen to the marriage. He brought a blueprint for a life that exists outside the palace walls. By integrating his past so seamlessly into Beatrice's present, they've built a fortress that feels grounded and real. They are proving that you can have the titles and the history without the trauma of the traditional royal firm. But beyond the family dinners and co-parenting wins, there's a secret language the 2 of them speak, one written in jumbled letters and shared challenges. The dyslexic duo, the shared superpower. In the polished world of royal engagements, where every speech is teleprompted and every document is triple-checked, there is a private struggle and a shared victory that defines the bond between Beatrice and Edoardo more than any title ever could. While the tabloids hunt for cracks in their marriage, they often miss the very thing that makes them impenetrable: They speak a secret language of neurodiversity. Both the princess and the count are dyslexic, a shared trait they have transformed from a childhood hurdle into what they famously call their superpower. For Beatrice, the diagnosis came at age 7, and it wasn't an easy ride. She spent her formative years feeling less than, struggling to keep pace with a curriculum that didn't account for the way her brain processed information.
The reason why I am so passionate about dyslexia is because of being a dyslexic person myself. I feel like I really understand that we have a responsibility to change the narrative.
But Edoardo's entry into her life provided a mirror. He wasn't just a husband. He was a fellow traveler who understood the jumbled letters and the mental exhaustion of navigating a world built for linear thinkers. This shared neurodiversity has become the glue of their relationship, creating a level of empathy that few couples in the royal family can claim. Their advocacy for dyslexia isn't just a convenient royal patronage. It's a personal crusade that has intensified this year. They aren't just ribbon cutters for the Helen Arkell Dyslexia Charity. They are active disruptors in the conversation. Beatrice has been vocal about her desire for her children, Sienna and Athena, to potentially inherit the condition, viewing it not as a disability, but as a gift for out-of-the-box thinking. When she speaks about this, she often references Edo's success in property development as the ultimate proof of concept. She argues that his ability to visualize spaces and think in 3D is a direct byproduct of his dyslexic brain. This shared perspective has shaped their entire life together. In their home, there is reportedly a no-shame policy regarding learning differences. They've built a sanctuary where the focus is on creative problem-solving rather than rote memorization. This is particularly relevant at the moment as they navigate the schooling of Wolfie and Sienna. Insiders say they are meticulous about choosing educational environments that celebrate cognitive diversity, ensuring their children don't face the same shame Beatrice felt in the 90s. But there's a deeper, more riveting layer to this. In the high-stakes chess match of 2026, their shared dyslexia has given them a unique tactical advantage. Because they both struggle with traditional paper trails, they have become masters of verbal communication and intuitive decision-making. This makes them incredibly hard for the palace machinery to handle or predict. They operate on gut instinct and a shared internal logic that exists outside the standard royal operating procedure. When the crisis headlines hit, they don't hunker down and read every word. They lean into their shared understanding that the narrative is often just noise. There's also an element of narrative redemption here. For years, Beatrice was framed as the quiet or unlucky princess. By embracing her dyslexia alongside Edo, she has rebranded herself as a leader in the global neurodiversity movement. She is no longer just Prince Andrew's daughter. She is a global ambassador for a community of millions. Edoardo's role in this cannot be overstated. He provides the entrepreneurial energy that fuels her advocacy, encouraging her to take up space in the conversation in a way she never did before they met. Critics might call it PR spin, but for anyone who has watched them together, the connection is palpably real. It's in the way Edoardo subtly leans in when Beatrice is giving a speech, or the way they laugh off clumsy mistakes that would mortify a more perfect royal couple. They are the relatable royals because they are flawed and they own it. In a family that often prizes stiff upper lip perfection, their openness about their jumbled brains is a breath of fresh, honest air. They have turned a weakness into a brand, a bond, and a shield. It's a strategy that has not only strengthened their marriage, but has made them the most modern, approachable duo in the House of Windsor. They aren't trying to fit the mold, they're breaking it and rebuilding it in their own image. But where do they stand when the palace gates close and the internal politics of the House of Windsor begin? And how have they become the king's secret weapon? The bridge builders. In the high-stakes, velvet-lined corridors of the House of Windsor, survival isn't just about bloodlines, it's about optics. As we move deeper into this year, the royal landscape has shifted from a stable institution into a fractured battlefield of reputations. In this environment, Princess Beatrice and Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi have emerged as something entirely unexpected: the bridge builders. They are the only couple currently capable of walking the razor-thin line between the disgraced York wreckage and the pristine, modernized court of King Charles III. To understand how high the stakes are, you have to look at the wreckage they are navigating. By this month, the situation surrounding Beatrice's father, the former Prince Andrew, had reached a terminal velocity. Stripped of his titles, evicted from the 30-room Royal Lodge, and recently arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, Andrew has become a radioactive figure within the firm. While his younger daughter, Eugenie, has reportedly cut off all contact to save her own skin, Beatrice has made a much more complicated and arguably more dangerous choice. She has stayed. Beatrice is currently playing a role that would make a seasoned diplomat sweat. She is the loyal daughter who was recently spotted horseback riding with her father in Windsor, a silent, high-definition signal that she won't abandon him, even as the public calls for her own title to be stripped. Yet, simultaneously, she remains one of the few extended family members with an open-door policy at King Charles's private homes. She is the king's niece, a counselor of state, and a trusted confidant who reportedly scrutinizes her mother's public statements to prevent further PR disasters. This is where Edoardo becomes the secret weapon. If Beatrice is the emotional bridge to the past, Edo is the professional bridge to the future.
Within 8 years, a 30-year-old Mozzi had become the force behind more than 400,000 square feet of developed property in London, boasting an $875 million value, according to BBC.
He has masterfully positioned himself as a fan of the new reign, publicly swooning over King Charles's gardens at Sandringham and liking the king's bold art exhibitions on social media. He isn't just a son-in-law, he's an ally. Before the king finally forced Andrew out of Royal Lodge, it was actually Edoardo who was seen visiting the €30 million mansion, offering property development advice on how to fix the crumbling, mold-covered walls. He was trying to solve a royal problem with business logic, acting as a buffer between two brothers who were no longer on speaking terms. However, this bridge building comes at a massive personal cost. The new and recent reports of emotional distance between Bea and Edo weren't just tabloid fluff. They were a reflection of a husband who is increasingly wary of the York contagion. Sources suggest Edoardo's own family, the Italian aristocrats, are beside themselves and furious that their son's name is getting dragged into the Epstein files. Edoardo is a man who built a global brand, Banda Property, on the idea of impeccable, untarnished luxury. He is reportedly all about his career right now.
Edo's interest in property was sparked by his mother's career in commercial real estate. At the age of 23, and with the support of his family, he started Banda, a property development and interior design company.
Jetting off to Florida for $54 million projects, while Beatrice stays in the UK to soldier on through the legal storms. This dynamic has created a two-speed marriage. You have Edoardo, the high-flying CEO in a pastel pink suit, looking dapper in Miami and keeping his head down 4,000 miles away from the drama. And you have Beatrice, the bonus mom and princess, holding the family together in the Cotswolds and London, trying to ensure her daughters, Sienna and Athena, grow up with some semblance of normalcy. The contrast is jarring. One half of the couple is building skyscrapers in the sun, while the other is navigating a family history that feels like a sinking ship. Yet, despite the crisis headlines, their shared strategy is starting to work. They are mirroring the off-grid approach of Prince William and Princess Kate, opting for low-key anniversaries in the Outer Hebrides rather than flashy royal galas. By staying out of the working royal fray, Beatrice doesn't take public money and doesn't do official duties. They have made themselves uncancelable. They are the modern blueprint for how to be a royal in 2026. Have a real job, keep your personal drama private, and always, always keep a foot in both camps. The truth about Princess Beatrice's husband is that he didn't just marry into a family. He married into a war zone. And so far, he's the only one who has managed to keep his suit clean. Whether the bridge they've built can survive the coming year is anyone's guess. But for now, they remain the most fascinating, resilient, and arguably the most royal couple in the game. Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi isn't just the husband of a princess. He is the architect of a new kind of royal life, one that is built on private wealth, Italian bloodlines, and a refusal to let the past dictate the future. Whether he's the secret architect of the king's PR or just a high-stakes developer dodging royal fallout, Edo is redefining what it means to be a modern prince. Is he the Yorks' savior, or just building his own empire? Subscribe for more deep dives into the shadows of the House of Windsor.